Welcome back, class. So, when we left off, it was 3680 BC. Our warriors had traveled, maybe about 30 kilometers, and had lost themselves here. Oh, what's that? What's that? Oh, it's a single tree. That's ironic. As you recall, last episode, the warriors, with their mighty sticks with the rocks attached, you can see those here, actually, see those rocks there, had decided to travel over to this block of land over the course of 40 years in order to get an unobstructed, treeless view of the ocean. But ironically, there's a tree right there. Perhaps it is something they have planted that has, in the 40 years since, grown larger. We shall see. For now, we're going to continue on. Okay, yeah, we're not going to be muzzling any oxes when he treadeth out the corn. We don't actually have any corn or oxes, so that would be counterproductive for us. Now, we do have sheep. We do have sheep nearby. We haven't accessed them yet because at this point in history, the Greek Empire did not have any use for sheep yet. They were busy considering, for example, Democritus would be around at this point, considering whether or not this tide here was the same every time he walked within it or not. Democritus had a belief, if you are familiar with that. Oh, there are some horses. Democritus believed that the world was in a constant state of flux, that it was never the same thing that you could experience twice. And, it's always been an interesting belief to me. He was one of the very earliest natural scientists, as philosophers are sometimes called. What to research next? Now, two of my advisors, Shield Advisor, military, okay, and what's this, science? Oh, that's probably economic there. Yeah, suggest I should consider learning about the wheel. However, we do have to stick close to the accurate and true history of Greece. So we'll need to figure out, I'm just going to consult my history book here. What did Greece learn after animal husbandry? Let's see. What did they learn next? Did they have archers? No. Pottery? Oh, that leads to sailing and calendar and writing. Ah, okay. Now the Phoenicians, of course, invented writing, but the Greek used it. They used it quite a bit. You may be familiar with some of their works. So we're going to research pottery next, because that's what historically happened, of course. And our brave warriors have reached what appears to be, might be the tip of the island here, and they found some horses, and I believe that is, yeah, that's another civilization they're about to find. Let's see what happens in the year 3600 BC. We've met Florence. Oh, it's another city-state. Okay, alright, fair enough. Now they are cultured, but hostile. Which could be seen as a paradox. However, we are talking about Florence here. Florence is historically a very hostile nation. A city-state, rather. Not open to outside influence, and very wrapped up within their own interests, within their own beliefs, within themselves, we could say. Perhaps unkindly, but that's what history shows. It says they're allied with nobody, they're hostile, and they kill whales. What can you say about that? But they've given us gold, because we showed up, once again, with clubs, and said give us gold, and they said, well, okay. We've got lots of gold from our whale-killing business. Anyway. Meanwhile, back in Athens, we have two citizens, and they're still working on that monument. They're working on it to their utmost, because it's so important to them. If you've seen 2001, A Space Odyssey, then you're of course aware of the importance of a monument to a culture. So that's going to be built in 5 turns, and Whew, that's still a very long time. That's 200 years. Well, let's hope they get some help. Oh, no, there aren't going to be any more citizens for another 400 years. So, yeah, there's really nothing we can do to help them out right now. We don't have enough money for anything at all, except a scout. Yeah, I'm going to buy a scout, because at this point in history, Greek began to expand their exploration, and that really did a number on our gold. However, this scout is going to be ready in 40 years to take on further exploration duties, perhaps to the west and south. So this scout, I don't want him to garrison because that would be pretty useless. I'm curious to see what is here. That's going to take a long time. Okay, meanwhile, we have reached the tip of this continent, if indeed it is a continent. Looks like it is, judging by the map here. This seems to be a dominating landmass with practically no one on it. However, there they are in Florence. I think Greece may want to settle somewhere up here because, as we know, Alexander, who is negative 3,207 years old at this point, is very fond of horses. So let's see where history takes us next. It's a wonderful journey. I mean, people say that history is a dead science, but really, history is alive. It's constantly changing. You can never trust what came before. And okay, we'll just keep going. Oh, there's some deer, and more deer. Okay, yeah, there were large deer populations near Greece. All over the place, really. There's just deer-a-palooza, really. Is you know, the deer population was in full bloom, and the price of deer was not dear. Oh, yes, it's very clever. You know, supply and demand, right? Yeah, so let's continue. We'll bring them over here next. Oh, yes, there's another river. So we appear to be fairly well placed in terms of water. We've got a river that terminates at our city. There's another river right down here, and oh, what's this? I'm hoping this is an actual civilization. City-states are nice and all, but it's about time for Greece to meet their rivals in history. So nothing happening, nothing happening. These bereaved and brave warriors are slowly working their way back towards Athens, and perhaps will swing north above it before they return home, but we shall see. Oh, Oda Nobunaga of Japan. Okay. Well, I apologize for the low-quality textures on our historical mock-ups here, but you know how it is with public education. We just don't have any funding. The federal government is constantly bleeding it away, and we are a very popular target for provincial budget cuts as well. Regardless, this is Oda Nobunaga, the demon of Japan. He's the man who finished uniting the country, working from essentially, well, his own... Why does he have so many swords? He can't possibly need that many. Anyway, he was a very ambitious man, and he very nearly united Japan. But Japan is a famously xenophobic society. They, as you may know, had their borders closed for about 200 years. Let's see, shall I make a joint declaration of friendship? No, as you can see, Japan is not very friendly to outsiders. Regardless, it was nice to meet them, and perhaps in the future we'll be able to... Oh, okay, they're coming towards my city. That's not very nice. Yes, the Japanese expeditionary force did reach Greece fairly early on in history, around 3400 BC. So far our historical simulation is highly accurate, eerily so. But we'll continue on. We're nearly at the end of this stage of history, so we're going to have... Oh, barbarians. We're going to avoid them because scouts will be destroyed by them historically. And let's see what production we can choose. Oh, we've completed our monument in Athens. Athens has completed its monument. Congratulations, it's wonderful news. What we're going to do now is create a worker. Because it's about time. Now, I've discovered some barbarians. I'm going to avoid them for now. As we said, the scouts are not very tough. So we'll see what happens next. Okay, this is a passage from the Bible which refutes, essentially, agnosticism. The idea of asking, if God made everything, then who made God? This passage from the Bible says, why should we ask that? Because we are essentially clay. So we have no right to question God as to who made him, or her, or it, whatever the case may be. But I can see how that is tangentially related to pottery, seeing as pottery is made from clay. So, these guys, more horses. I think this is actually the area in which Greece settled their next city, right around here in these floodplains near the river delta. But for now, I'm going to have this scout, as he did, continue his exploration into Japanese territory. Yes, exactly as it happened in history. Now, what shall we research next? Calendar? Writing? So that leads to theology, which would be historically accurate. Yes, we're going to go with the calendar. It's very important, historically, for the Greek to know what day it is and what month it is. So that's what we're going to give them the ability to do. In addition, the wealth of silk nearby that we can see is useful once they have a calendar, because as we all know, all calendars are made from silk. Now we're moving on. Good. So, we're 3320. There are our warriors slowly making their way back. This explorer is working his way around what I assume is double Mount Fuji to find what's going on with Oda Nobunaga. Let's see where history takes us next. Oh, goodness. There are some ruins. Now, it's very important that the Greek explorers get to those ruins as swiftly as possible. Now, at this point in history, in 3280, the Greek adopted their very first social policy, their very first form of government. So what we're going to do is find which one the Greek historically used. Was it tradition? Legalism, oligarchy, monarchy, landed elite. Could be it. Liberty, citizenship. Oh, yes, this would be it. Yes, this is it. Yep. The Republic, which Plato famously expounded upon. Citizenship, which as we know was a founding virtue of Greece. And meritocracy, which, well, you know, slavery. Good. There we go. Collective rule, all that. Liberty. Here we go. There we go. So we have adopted our first social policy, just as we did in history. And on that note, we are going to take another break. So I'd like you to get up, stretch your legs, and have yourselves a good time.